Good evening everyone. Welcome to MBA Karo. In today's video we are going to cover data sufficiency for NMAT. This is one of the important topics for NMAT and you get 4 questions from this topic in the examination. So if you talk about other examinations, you may not get these many questions, maybe 1 or 2 questions, and that too also you are not sure of that you would get those or not. However, when we talk about NMAT, there are short 4 questions in the quant section. Now 4 questions is a significant thing in an examination like this, and in these 4 questions are simple to do. You need to know the techniques how to approach the questions. Okay, so if you know how to solve these data sufficiency questions, you can manage them, because in these questions, in most of the questions, you may not be required to calculate the answer. So that's what we are going to learn in this video, that how to tackle these kind of questions along with examples of different types, including some tricky questions as well. Now one thing that is needed for this topic data sufficiency is you need to know all the subjects. Like subjects, I mean the topics. Like for example, you must know time, speed, distance, you must know ratio, proportion, simple compound interest, right, etc. So you need to know all the different types, and even in number system, okay, you can get questions from algebra also. Okay, so be prepared with all things. You can get questions from logarithms, you can get questions from number system, divisibility, units, digit, etc. So we will see these miscellaneous questions in this video. If you are new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media platforms. In case you are preparing for NMAT and SNAP and are looking for a structured course that has proper classes for both these examinations, and including practice sheets, mock tests for both the examinations, so you can enroll in our course for NMAT and SNAP. Okay, you can find the link given in the description of this video. So let's begin this class. Please like the video before we begin the class. So first of all, we must understand what is data sufficiency and what exactly needs to be done in that. So data sufficiency will be presented in the form of a question followed by 2 statements, and you need to tell that whether the statements are sufficient to answer the question. Okay, so the first and the most important rule is you are not supposed to calculate the answer. Okay, you do not have to find out the answer, you have to tell which of the given statements are sufficient to get the answer to the given question. Okay, now what are the different combinations that you can get? So first is, like, you can have 1 alone which can answer the question, statement 2 alone can answer the question. Okay, either of them can answer the question, either 1 or 2. Similarly, you can have both 1 and 2 are required to answer the question, and the 5th option is data is insufficient and you cannot answer based on the 2 given statements. Okay, so these are the 5 scenarios that you will get in data sufficiency, right? So let us see these scenarios, and let's start with the rules first. First rule says that you are not supposed to calculate the answer. So it means that, let's look at this question. Okay, what is the value of x? Now if it were a normal question, you would start calculating the values of x, isn't it? But remember that you are not supposed to calculate the value of x. You should tell that whether you can answer the question using this statement. So can you answer this question using the statement 175 upon x plus 1 upon 5 is 11 by 20. Okay, so this is one equation in one variable, so we can answer using the statement. We just have to tell, can you answer the question, right? Yes, we can answer using this statement. Similarly, there is another equation in x, right? One variable and one equation, you can solve that equation. So either 1 or 2 is sufficient to answer this question. Okay, now coming to the next fact that is important is you should get a unique answer to a question from a statement. So if you are not getting a unique answer, then that is not sufficient to answer the question. So for example, let's say like singular statement, the answer must be unique. So if I ask you what is the value of a, a square is 64, right? So a square is 64. This gives us a is equal to 8 or minus 8. Okay, and a cube is 512. That gives a equal to 8. Now in this question, like first statement, you cannot answer uniquely because it can be 8, it can be minus 8. Both values are possible. Okay, so it is not sufficient to answer the question. But second alone is sufficient to answer the question because we are getting a unique value. Another point here is, like if you can answer using one of the statements, you should not combine the statements, right? Some students make a mistake that they will combine the statements and say that both 1 and 2 are required. Okay, so if you can answer using one statement only, answer using only one statement, right? Do not combine them. If you cannot answer using, so first is you check with one. Okay, if it works, then good. Check with 2. If it works, good. If both of them do not work, okay, or like if one of them works, see, in this case you check, the answer is either. Okay, if one does not work, 2 works, only 2 is sufficient. If one works, 2 does not work, only 1 is sufficient. But if both do not work, then only you combine. Okay, otherwise do not combine the statements. Now in this case we can answer using only second statement itself, that a is 8. Okay, that's a important rule. Then if there are two statements or combination of statements, they can have different unique answers. Now some students complain that the question is wrong. Like for example, if you take this case, it says like you need to tell that what is the rate of simple interest. A person invested 8,000 and received an interest of 1680 in 3 years. Now as per the rule of data sufficiency, you are not supposed to calculate the rate of interest. You should tell, can you answer this question? Yes, I am given P, I am given I am given T, so I can find R. Yes, so I can find using one alone, I can find the answer. Similarly, amount is given to us, okay, and P is given to us, right? So we can find I, right, and T is also given to us. Amount and principal is given, so we can find interest, and T is also given, we can find R. So using this statement alone also we can answer the question. Now the answer would be either statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. Now when you start solving it, actually if you solve it, in this case 8,000 is the principal, 1680, 21% in 3 years, so you will get the rate as 7%. In the second case we are getting 30% interest in 4 years, so you will get 7.5%. Now some students do not attempt the question or say that the data is insufficient, or will say that the question is wrong. Okay, in NMAT you are forced to attempt the question, but if it were some other examination you would say the question is wrong, right? Because you will say that you are getting different answers. But that's a rule, that it is not necessary that different statements can give same answer, so they can give different answers also. So keep this thing in mind, that if there are two different statements, they can have different answers. Okay, so it is not necessary that you get that one answer from both statements. Okay, now answer should be unique, like we are getting only 7%, we are not getting two values from a statement. Okay, so one statement if can give you one result, that means that statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. So let us see the questions and attempt them so that we get a understanding that how to tackle these kind of questions. Let's start with a very basic question. P, Q, R are three positive integers. Is P plus R divisible by 5? So the process is first check with first statement, then check with second statement. If they do not alone they do not give you the answer, then go to the combination of statements. Yes, this is asked in banking exams also. But if one is not a banking aspirant, okay, would find this question only in NMAT and some other, like NMAT there are short 4 questions. In other examinations you may have 1 or 2 maybe at max. So let's see that how do we solve this question. Okay, now the question says that is p plus r divisible by 5. Now the first statement says that q minus p is 3. So r is not mentioned here. In this statement p is not mentioned, right? So it is easy to say that the statements alone are not sufficient. Okay, now what we will do, if two statements alone are not sufficient, we combine the statements. So let us combine these two statements and see that what do we get as the result. So q minus p is equal to 3. Q is common, so we can write q is equal to p plus 3, and from second statement q is equal to r minus 2. Okay, now since we are combining this, so p plus 3 is equal to r minus 2. Okay, so we will get that r minus p is equal to 5. Okay, we get r minus p equal to 5, isn't it? So we get this relation, q is p plus 3. When you bring p this side, it becomes p plus 3, and from here q is r minus 2. So we will equate them. So we get r minus p is 5. Now it is saying p plus r divisible by 5. Okay, so now r minus p is 5. So we can take r as like q is positive. So we have to take r greater than, all three are positive, right? So r minimum we have to take 3. Anyway, r minus p is 5. So we will take higher values. So if we take p is equal to 1, r will be equal to 6. Okay, now p plus r is 7, right? Now for some values you might say that it is not divisible, but if we take a value like this 5 and 10, okay, if we take 5 and 10, p plus r is 15. So it is divisible, not divisible, and in this case it is divisible, right? So there can be different values. Okay, for some values it will be divisible, some values it will not be divisible. So we can say that the statements are not sufficient to answer the question, because sometimes it is divisible, sometimes it is not divisible. Okay, let's look at this question. It says the cost price of the television more than 8,000. The television is sold at a profit of 20% for 9,000. The mark price of the television is 12,000. If it is sold at a discount of 25%, the profit is rupees 1,200. Yes, we will have more sessions on critical reasoning, so please do subscribe to the channel, and we will periodically have sessions for all sections. Now this is a very simple question, and this particular one, and I'll tell you how to use the power of data sufficiency in this question. Like what generally people do is they start calculating the values. Okay, so it says the cost price of the television more than 8,000. So if you look at the first statement, right, we can see we have three things: mark price, cost price, mark price, and selling price. Okay, mark price and selling price are linked by discount, cost price and mark price are linked by markup, and cost and selling price are linked by profit or loss, right? Now if you consider the first statement, it is given the profit is given, profit percentage is given, the selling price is given. Okay, so we can find the cost price. So one alone is sufficient to answer the question. Okay, we can get the cost price. Now if you actually calculate, you will get the cost price less than 8,000, right? And you might say that no, it is not correct. See, the question is asking whether can you answer the question. Yes, using this data I can find that whether the cost price is less than 8,000 or not. Okay, so 1 is sufficient to answer the question. Coming to the second point, in the second point we are given the marked price. Marked price is given, okay, and discount is given. So marked price and discount is given, we can find the selling price, and profit is also given, so we can find the cost price, right? So this statement alone is also sufficient to answer the question. Now if you calculate the answers, you will get the same thing which I told you in the beginning, that you may get different values. Okay, इसलिए इसको calculate नहीं करना है, right? Most students what they do is they will calculate, like in this case you will get 7500 and in this case you must have got 7800. Okay, remember that rule, if the values are different also it does not matter, as long as you can calculate the answer, your answer is yes, that statement is sufficient. Okay, so either statement is sufficient to answer the question. Now another thing which people make mistake is, the question is saying that more than 8,000, right? It does not matter whether it is more than 8,000 or not. What we have to tell, right? Is the cost price, see what is the answer to this question, is the cost price more than 8,000? The answer is yes or no. As long as I can find the cost price, I can answer whether the answer is yes or no. Okay, so don't get like this kind of question is very simple. Just need to remember that can you find the answer, that's it. Okay, you do not have to tell that is the cost price is less. If you are getting different answers from different statements, it is perfectly fine. As long as you can get a unique answer from a statement, that statement alone is sufficient. Okay, so common mistakes that people make in data sufficiency. Okay, here's the next one. It says the average of the present age of Prakhar, Quinton and Ranveer is 28 years. What is the ratio of the ages of Prakhar and Ranveer? So we need to tell the ratio of their ages. So let's see this question. Now when you look at the ratio of Prakhar and Quinton 5 years ago was 11:8, right? Can you get a unique answer from this? See, there are three people, P, Q, R. Okay, basically their total age is given to us, right? This is the total age. Now from this we get Prakhar and Quinton ratio 11:8. Now 11:8 can give you multiple values, right? It can be 22 and 16. It can be 33 and 24, so multiple values possible. Okay, so we cannot answer using this statement alone. So first statement alone is not sufficient, isn't it? Now look at the second one. It says present age of Ranveer is less than 20 years. Now it can be 18, 19, 17, 15, 13, 12, 10, anything, right? So we cannot answer using this statement. Okay, now how do we know that whether we can combine and get a unique answer? So probably we will have to make equations. Now ratio of ages of Prakhar and Quinton 5 years ago was 11:8. So 5 years ago these people are 11x and 8x. Okay, now today you will add 5 to both of them. So what is the total age of these two people? P is 11x plus 5, Q is 8x plus 5 and R is not known. Okay, so we have 19x plus 10 plus R is equal to 84. Okay, so 19x plus R will be equal to 74. So x can be 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we need to find if R has a value less than 20. So if you put x equal to 1, you will get greater than 20. If you put 2, you will get greater than 20. If you put 3, this will be 57, which will be less than 20. So we get one unique case, isn't it? So we are getting a unique case. Now you do not have to find the ratio actually. You just have to tell that can you get the answer. So we are getting a unique case by combining. So both statements together are necessary to answer the question. Okay, so when we combine, we get a unique value of R. In case you are preparing for NMAT, we have NMAT mocks in the NMAT interface, and they are at par with the NMAT difficulty level. And although they are non-adaptive because the algorithm is different, no one is aware of the algorithm of NMAT. Okay, but you can take the free test. There is one free test also available to check the pattern and difficulty level. So let's move on to the next question. It says Vidhi purchased some pens, notebooks and markers from 3 different stationery shops. The selling price of an item was the same in all the shops. What is the selling price of a notebook? So we have to find the price of a notebook. Okay, so can you answer the question based on the information given over here? So you are saying that not sufficient. So let's see this question. Okay, now in general what happens is, if there are n statements, if there are n variables, we need n equations, isn't it? Like if there is, like we saw in the rule, that if there is one equation and one variable, we can find the answer. If there are two variables, we need two equations, right? Here there are 3 variables, we will need 3 equations to find them unique answer. Okay, so in order to get unique values of all variables. So that is the general rule of algebra. Okay, so if you have 3 variables, you will need 3 equations. But here there are 3 variables, but we are asked only the price of a notebook. This is a bit tricky one. So by that rule, people would say that we need 3 equations. But if you observe this, this is 9 markers, 6 pens and 11 notebooks. If you multiply this by 2, so you will get the price of 18 markers plus 12 pens plus 22 notebooks. See, you are not supposed to calculate. You just have to tell that, can you answer the question? Okay. So when you take it, now when you subtract the first equation from this, you will get 7n. You will get the value of 7n something, right? X, Y, Z, whatever is the value. You are not supposed to calculate. Okay. So you will get the value of n. Okay. So both statements together are necessary to answer the question. So when you combine, you will be able to answer that question. Okay, next question. What is the remainder when m is divided by 6? The remainder when m is divided by 12 is 2. The remainder when m is divided by 9 is 2. So you need to tell which statement alone, which statement or a combination of statements are required to answer this question. So the remainder when m is divided by 12 is 2, right? And in the second case, now what common mistake people might do here is, like I'll tell you, they will just take like they will take a number 14 and divide by 6 and give the remainder 2. They will take the number 11, divide by 6 and give the remainder 5. They will say that either statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. Okay, so people will say that either statement alone is sufficient, right? But actually you need to think like this, like suppose if I take the next number in this sequence, so it will give us 26 divided by 6, you are getting as the remainder as 2. If you take the next number, 9 into 2 is 18 plus 2 is 20, 20 divided by 6 gives the remainder 2. So we are getting different remainders in this case. Okay, different remainders in this case. In this case we are getting a unique answer. Okay, now if you see it algebraically using the equation, so let us say the number n1 is 12x plus 2. Okay, so when you divide by 6, it becomes 6 times of 2x plus 2. This part is divisible, so the remainder is 2. R is 2. Now if you take the second number, which is 9x plus 2, if you divide by 6, it will be 1.5, like 6 into 1.5x. It is not divisible by 6. Basically it is not divisible by 6. In this case this is divisible by 6, so you get a unique remainder. In this case it is not divisible by 6. So if you divide by 6, you will get 6x plus 3x plus 2. Okay, so this part is divisible, this part is not divisible. So it will depend on the value of x. Okay, so from 1 you can get a unique answer, but from second you cannot get a unique answer. So statement 1 alone is sufficient to answer the question. Okay, let's move to the next question. Find the time taken by the boat to cover 81 km upstream and 48 km downstream. The upstream and downstream speeds of the boats are in the ratio 9:16. The boat can cover 32 km downstream and 84 km upstream in 4 hours. So we have done around 4 or 5 questions. Okay, you can watch the recording of the stream to solve those questions. Now if you look at this question, right, first case, upstream and downstream, the ratio of speeds is given to us, right? So we need to find the time taken. So we need to know the speeds, right? Time, this is the distance is given to us, right? And this is the so if you have to find time is what? Distance upon speed. Okay, distance 1 upon speed 1 plus distance 2 upon speed 2, right? This statement gives the ratio of speeds. It does not give the speeds. The speeds could be 9 and 16, it could be 1832, right? It could be any other value. So 1 is definitely not sufficient to answer the question, right? Now this particular question is also a bit tricky like the previous one, right? Now if you observe this, 32 km downstream and 54 km upstream in 4 hours. So we are given the time, but you might say that we do not know the speeds, right? And someone might combine these two statements. So they will put downstream speed as like upstream speed as 9x and 16x and then add to get the value of x, right? Someone might do it, yes, but that is an approach. But if you observe this is a very tricky one, like that notebook marker question. This is also similarly a tricky problem. See, if you observe this time duration, 81 and 48, this is 54 upstream and 32 downstream. Now if you multiply this thing by 1.5, what do you get? You will get 48 km downstream and 81 upstream, and you will get the time. So using statement 2 alone, we can answer this question. So sometimes the questions can be this tricky, and you need to be careful in observing the statements. So if you carefully observe, you will be able to answer such questions. So you need to keep your eyes open in answering such questions. I hope you are enjoying this session. Please don't forget to like this video, and this video will help you master this section so that you can get all 4 questions correct in the examination. So data sufficiency is always asked in NMAT. There are 4 questions of data sufficiency which are sure shot in the quant section. Here's the next question. Salaries of A and B are in the ratio 6:5. You need to find the ratio of savings of A and B. Now this is a tricky question, again a tricky one, in the sense that we are given salaries. Okay, we have to find the ratio of savings. Okay, now salary minus expenditure is savings. That is the relation that we know between these 3 quantities, right? Salaries minus expenditure is saving, right? Now if you take the first statement alone, we are given the ratio of salaries as 6 and 5. So let us take the salaries as 6x and 5x. Now it says the monthly expenditure of A is 20% more than the monthly expenditure of B. 20% more means 1/5 more. So let us say expenditure of A and B, suppose we take the expenditure of B as 5y, so expenditure of A will be 6y. Okay, now if you use the first statement alone, so 6x minus 6y upon 5x minus 5y. Okay, so now we get 6 times of x minus y upon 5 times of x minus y. So we get 6:5. So statement 1 alone is sufficient to answer the question. Okay. Now if you go to the second statement says that monthly expenditure is directly given. So in this case you will have 6x minus 7800, and second statement is 5x minus 6500. So 6 can be taken out, x minus 1300, and denominator we have 5 times of x minus 1300. So this can be eliminated. Again we get 6:5. Okay, so using this statement alone also we get the right answer. Okay, now how this was tricky was, people might think that okay, the state salary income is like at times you have to like do some calculations and find it. Now understand that there is a principle of ratio being tested in this. So if we subtract 2 things and get a third result, so if the ratio of first 2 things is same and the ratio of second thing is also same, the ratio of the resultant will also be the same. So basically what I mean to say is, if ratio of salaries of 2 people is same, okay, is equal to ratio of expenditure of 2 people, okay, in that case ratio of saving will be same as the ratio of that will be same. Okay, same means the same which is this ratio. Okay, so that is the principle of ratio. So if you know this fact, probably you would be able to answer it correctly. Otherwise you might go wrong, because some people might, if you do this also, at least you will be able to get the answer that each statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. Otherwise, if you just think acha, expenditure is not given, so it is not sufficient to answer the question. Okay. Alright, so let's move to the next question. You need to tell whether x is equal to 9. So for NMAT, please prepare algebra also, quadratic equations, prepare logarithms, okay, and a bit of functions, because you do get questions from those topics as well. Is x equal to 9? Okay, now let us see this question, that whether like we will revisit the rules also. So in this case, you get x minus 9, x plus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so we get x equal to 9 and minus 2. In the second case, we have x minus 3 and x minus 7 equals to 0, or x is equal to 3 comma 7. Right? What was the basic principle? The basic principle said that you should be able to get a unique answer. Okay. Now, are we getting a unique answer in this? No, because x is 9 also, x can be minus 2 also, x can be both, right? So this statement alone is not sufficient. Now here comes the more tricky part. Now you would say that the answers are not unique here. Okay, answers are not unique, you are getting 3 or 7. But what is the question? The question is x equal to 9, right? We can, using this statement, we can say that no, x is not equal to 9. So using the second statement alone, we can answer the question. Okay, so you need to be logically sound to solve such tricky questions. So this is one of the tricky questions, wherein like first statement, okay, no, so you should get a unique value, right? That's what the rule we discussed of data sufficiency. As long as you cannot get a unique value, it can be 9 also, it can be 2 also. The answer is cannot be determined. The answer should be unique, whether yes or no. So first statement we cannot say, because it may be 9, it may not be 9. So the answer is cannot be determined. Hence this statement is not sufficient. But from the second statement we can clearly say that x is not equal to 9. Hence second statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. Okay, so now this will be an easy one. I expect all of you to answer this question correctly. So from second statement we could answer that x is not equal to 9. Na? The question is asking that is x equal to 9. From first statement you can say that it is it may or may not be 9. Okay, but second statement clearly says that x is not 9. So whether it is 10 values, whether it has 20 values, x is not 9. Na? Okay, so this question is a fairly simple one. This is a time, speed, distance question. So we need to find how long will the man take to cross the platform. So if you have to answer this question, we need to understand that what data do we need to answer this question. Okay, so the data that is needed here is basically speed of man. It is asking the time, right? So time, speed, distance. The time is asked, so you should know the speed of man, and the distance should be the length of platform. So you should know these two things to answer the question. So let us find out which statement gives us these two statements. Okay, now first statement gives us the train running at 75 km per hour passes the platform in 18 seconds. So this is giving the train length of train plus platform. Okay, it is not sufficient, and man is not given here. Okay, so first statement is not sufficient. Second, it takes 13 seconds for the train to pass a man walking at 5 km per hour in the same direction. So this gives the speed of man and it gives the length of train. Okay, now this statement is not sufficient to answer because it does not talk about the platform. Now when we combine both statements, we get the speed of the man, and by subtracting the length of train from the length of platform plus train, we get the length of platform also. So we will get P also. So using both the statements together, we can answer the question. Okay, so this is how you solve data sufficiency. You are not supposed to calculate the answer, you just have to look at the data and tell whether the data is given to sufficient to answer the question. Okay, so in case you are preparing for NMAT and are looking for a good source to prepare for critical reasoning, so MBA Karo has a unique offering which is in the form of critical reasoning tests at par with NMAT. So we are offering 25 tests with 20 questions each, so a total of 500 questions. That could be a good tool to boost your critical reasoning scores, and the tests are available in NMAT test interface, so you get that feel also. Okay, and they are the kind of questions that you expect in the NMAT examination. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. R is a single digit positive integer and P minus R is 2024. What is the value of R? So it says that R is a single digit positive integer, P minus R is 2024. We need to find the value of R. So first of all, we will have to find P is divisible by 6. Now R is a single digit positive integer, that means R can be from 1 to 9. Okay, so P minus R is 1 to 9. So P can be from 2025 to 2033. Okay, that is the range of P. So it says P is divisible by 6. We will find a number which is divisible by 6 in this range. So 2025 is not divisible because it is 9. Okay, but if we add 3 to it, 2028 is divisible by P can be 2028. Okay, and next is 2024, which is out of the range. Okay, so we have only one value of P in this range. So we get a unique value. We get a unique value of P, we get a unique value of R also. So we can say that it is divisible. So using first statement. Using second statement, P can be 2025, P can be 2030 also. Okay, so we are not getting any unique value. Okay, so it is not sufficient to answer the question. So statement 1 alone is sufficient to answer the question. Okay. A water tank has two pipes attached to it. Pipes P and Q supply water at the rate of 6 and 5 liters per minute respectively, but due to a leakage, the tank takes longer to fill. What is the capacity of the tank? Yes, you can get questions from partnership. What is so difficult? Partnership is a very easy topic, like direct application of ratios. So if you have to master NMAT quant, right, cover percentage based topics like percentage, profit loss, simple interest, compound interest, ratio, proportion, partnership, mixtures, allegation, and then you can master data sufficiency, DI, and also go through modern math. Okay, even if you ignore although algebra is of easy level. Geometry is not asked, and number system is also asked. Okay, few questions you can expect from number system like divisibility, HCF, LCM. So this question says that there are two pipes attached to the tank and we need to find the capacity of the tank. How do we find the capacity? Capacity is basically what? That is the net fill rate into time taken to fill the tank. How much time, are you filling per minute or hour? Here they are talking about per minute. So how much you are filling per minute and how much time you are taking in minutes to fill the tank. That gives the capacity, right? Now if you see the both pipes are opened simultaneously, the tank would be full in 1 hour 12 minutes. Okay, so it is saying that if both pipes are opened simultaneously, tank is full in 1 hour 12 minutes and there is a leakage also. It is given the two pipes and leakage. Okay, so now if you look at this statement, it gives you that they are opened simultaneously, tank will be full in 1 hour 12 minutes. Does it give the time taken by these tanks individually? Like when you say that if two things are opened together, you can fill in so many time, right? So you need the time taken by these these pipes to fill individually. The time is missing. Okay, so we cannot answer using this. Okay, the drain pipe leaks at the rate of 3 liters per minute. Now if you consider the second statement, that gives you the fill rate, because 5 plus 6 is already given to us, 3 is the fill rate, right? But time is not mentioned in the second statement. If you combine these two, so we are given the fill rate, how much it is filling, so 6 plus 5 minus 3, and time is also given 1 hour 12 minutes, so 72 minutes. So that will give us the total capacity. So if we combine both statements, so 1 and 2 together are sufficient to answer the question. So when you combine these, you will get the fill rate and the time also, so multiply, you will get the capacity of the tank. Okay, so now this is a tricky question. For this you need solid understanding of numbers, and this was asked in NMAT last year. I got this question in NMAT. So NMAT will have easy, moderate, difficult, all sort of questions across any of the topics, right? So it might be possible that in arithmetic you might get some very difficult questions and easy questions also. Sometimes in algebra you might get difficult questions. Sometimes in PNC you might get difficult questions. So if you are getting difficult question in the examination, so that is a sign that you are doing well on the examination. Okay, because initially they start with moderate questions, and then if you answer incorrectly, the scores keep dipping and they give you easy questions. If you answer correctly, the scores keep increasing and you are given more difficult questions. And if you see super difficult questions, that is a sign that you have reached a very high level and your scores are going to be good. Now, difficult, maybe it is a relative term for people, but yes, if you have practiced well, you know that what actually difficult is. Alright, so let us try this question. Can you answer this question that like which of these statements is sufficient to answer the question? A minus 5 whole square plus B minus 7 whole square is greater than 9. B is less than 5. Okay, so let's do simple thing. First of all, we have to take B less than 5, right? B less than 5 means, for simplicity, let us make this part 0. Okay, so part 1, A minus 5 ka whole square plus B minus 7 ka whole square, right? Put A equal to 5. B let us put as B is less than 5, so let us put 4, let us put 3, okay, we will put 5 only. So when we put B equal to 4, this is minus 3 ka whole square and this is 0. So minus 3 ka whole square is 9. If you put B is equal to 3, okay, we are getting 16. Right. The question is it greater than 9? No, it is not greater than 9. See, you should be able to answer in yes or no, right? It is not greater than 9. If you take, let us say B 4.5, if you take B 4.5, so it would be minus 2.5 ka whole square, that is 6.25. So again the answer would be no. In some cases it might be yes, in some cases it is no. So it can be greater, it can be less, it can be equal. So we are not getting any unique answer. Okay, so the answer is first statement alone is not sufficient. Okay. Second statement, if you take B minus 7 square, let us put B as 7 for making it 0, right? And A minus 5 square. So if you take A minus 5, A is greater than 8. A is greater than 8. So 8 minus 5 will be greater than 3. A is greater than 8. 8 minus 5 will be greater than 3. Okay. So if we square a number greater than 3, let us call it 3 plus some number. If you take a square of a number, okay, which is greater than 3, that will be always greater than 9. Because square is always a positive number, isn't it? So even if it is 3.1, okay, so if we take A as 8.1, forget about the B part, let alone be the B part. B part, so like if you take higher values, it will further increase. But even if you take the minimum value possible, minimum value for square is 0. So even if you take 8.1, we will get greater than 9. If you take an integer, let us say 9, it will be greater than 9. So for all values, the value is greater than 9. So the answer is yes. We can say that yes, it is greater than 9. So using statement 2 alone, we can answer this question. Okay, so that second statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. From first statement, we are not getting a unique answer because it says that the answer cannot be determined. It is yes also, it can be no also. but from the second statement we can say that yes, it is greater than 9, and hence second statement alone is sufficient to answer the question. Okay, so here are some questions for you to answer in the comments of this video. Okay, and 3 easy questions. I hope if you have watched the videos, you should be able to answer all 3 questions with ease. Okay, so please do let me know in the comments of this video the answers to these questions, and also comment the next topic that you want classes on, so we will take some classes on YT for it. I hope you enjoyed this session. You learned how to solve data sufficiency question. We solved all sorts of questions, easy ones, tricky ones, difficult ones, and that would have given you some practice for this topic. And in case you wish to prepare for NMAT and SNAP in a comprehensive manner, you can enroll in our course for NMAT and SNAP, which includes live classes for all topics, practice sheets for all topics. Like for example, for data sufficiency, if we had a class, we would provide you a practice sheet for the same, and doubt resolution group for enrolled students, and 10 NMAT plus 20 SNAP mocks. So you can check out the link given in the description of this video. And in case you appeared on NMAT and SNAP in the past, we can offer you discount also based on your past scores. So if you had 230 plus in NMAT or SNAP 97 plus, you can avail 30% off. And like if you had 220 plus in NMAT or 95 plus in SNAP, you are eligible for 20% discount. So you mail your scorecard to support@mbakaro.in to get the same. So this was for today's class. We did data sufficiency in today's class. We will be coming up with more videos on NMAT and other upcoming MBA examinations. So please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and please do subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for attending the class. Have a great day. Goodbye.